Brother, this is the last time I will tell you. Watch the way you talk about my Igbo ancestors. They don't play about me. Okay? I'm warning you. Question for you. In the Bible, your God allowed the devil back into heaven and placed a bet with him over the life of an innocent man named Job. Why would a loving God do such a thing? Job's children did not deserve to die. Imagine the grief that his wife went through of losing her children. Is that how you would treat your family? Place a bet with the enemy over the lives of your loved one, all to prove a point to the devil? I guess this is why abuse is normalized in a lot of churches and religious households today. Look, the Igbo people never needed saving. We already knew God for ourselves. They came to our land, stole our resources, demonized our spirituality, stripped us of our identity, and then took the name of our God, Chukwu, for the name of their God in the Bible. So stop demonizing something you don't understand. You sound very foolish. Idrot, Onyara, Ishieu. You have the audacity to comment on my videos, to try to force your religious beliefs on me. But not once did I force my beliefs on you. I think it's time that we have a face-to-face, man-to-man conversation about this topic. You let me know. I'll be waiting. Nonsense.
Boru. Para boru. Aboy. Abo si se ni wa npon. Mewa. Ni mo tula wa teso. Ni mo tula loso. Uwe ndo eja ina mi to kwe heme. Tula loso ete edo. Edo mere pepe. Deja ho lo pe. Ni pon ho ko do. Na onu to ni ba do nu kumbi wa to bezan to me. Tula loso. Edo mere pepe deja ho lo pe. Ni pon ho ko do. Na onu to ba do kukura kan ni e. doit tout tomber, elle doit nous carrer un peu, elle doit donc quitter ton couple à Nador. Elle doit bénir quand on doit tomber, elle doit solo qui est. Elle doit hopper mon pour elle. Elle doit malender mon scindé. Elle doit remonter le soudron ou aller vous t'avouer son énantodo. Elle doit dire pour nous à la fia qu'à la fia. Allah Kubaru, Allah Kubaru, Allah Kubaru. Elle doit s'injira, mais il doit dodo, vous savez, dodo. Elle doit s'injira, mais il doit dodo, vous savez, dodo. Elle doit s'aimer des gros. Elle doit battre ma cigahou. Elle doit s'aimer des bé. Elle doit battre ma cigahou. Donc nous combien nous va, nous combien la pendre bien au caillon si. Il doit rentrer au baguette, mais il doit holou. Au fait, tout le sommet dit que nous connaissons bien, mais ouais. Alors, on bien, mais comme bien, on peut d'avoir mon dia. Tout là, l'osso. Nous le faire clé on est. N'a pas de on va enlever, on a pris de nous.
Orioya.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and supported by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. With full hearts and deep reverence, we are honored to share the next evolution of our sacred journey. New Orleans National Voodoo Day is now New Orleans International Voodoo Day. This shift in name reflects a truth we have always carried, that voodoo is both deeply local and profoundly global. Rooted in the rich soil of New Orleans and held in the hands of our community, our work continues to center the vibrant traditions, practitioners, and spiritual leaders right here at home. At the same time, we move forward with deep gratitude for the international ties that made Vodou in New Orleans possible. We walk in the footsteps of those who carried these sacred traditions across oceans, guided by the ancestors and shaped by generations of resistance, resilience, and ritual. This change is not a departure, it is a deepening, a fuller reflection of who we are and who we are becoming. We continue to honor the local New Orleans Vodou community as the heart of this event, while strengthening the sacred connections that stretch from Haiti to Benin to the Congo and beyond. And we continue to invite you to grow and join with us. We continue to be grateful and thankful for your continued support, participation, volunteership, donations, and certainly your sponsorship. And we invite your continued visitation to www.voodooday.org, www.vodouday.org for continuing updates about this growing and powerful event. And certainly, we're always thankful and appreciative for those who continue to show and support us here live in the chat. We're certainly grateful for your love, support, and participation. Greetings, Black Man 4406. Salutations to you and yours. Our beloved Daniel Neal, we certainly appreciate you. And Love 1901, thank you for your participation and support. We're thankful for everyone in Facebook, on our Facebook platforms, mine, Sister Toni's, Elder Reggie's, Brother Tyson's, and the like. We're certainly thankful for our LinkedIn participants, our YouTube participants, and our Twitter X participants. We are having technical difficulties, so we do not have Instagram tonight, but we continue to invite your participation live and always in archive. We are archived immediately following every podcast by way of my YouTube page, the YouTube channel. Tonight, we want to share and discuss the ramifications and indications of the Afa, Dafa, Fa divination and reading for the year that was performed in Ouida, Benin during the Voodoo days. As you could note by that very last video, there were actually two divinations that were done in two different locations. But what brought the two together was indeed Loso. And I will go into greater detail about the meaning and interpretation of Loso. In Yoruba, you would know Loso as Iroso or Iro-sun. So we're going to discuss Loso Sa or Loso Osa, which happens to be the Odu that rests on my head, on my crown, Loso Sa. In the beginning, the world was spoken into order. And even now, the world continues to speak through the signs, through the spirits, through the breath of Afa. My people, my family, my kin across oceans and continents. Today we gather together under the guidance of Loso Sa, a sign of awakening, responsibility, and the restoration of rightful order. A sign that calls us to remember who we are, to remember where we come from, and to remember what we were placed on this earth to do. In the sacred systems of Afa among the Fan and Dafa among the Ewe, every sign is a doorway. Every sign is a drumbeat. Every sign is a reminder that destiny is not a straight line. It is a rhythm, a pattern, a weaving of forces seen and unseen. And in 2026, the sign that rises for our global Voodoo and Vodou family, the sign that rises for New Orleans International Vodou Day is Loso Sa. The essence of Loso Sa is a sign of realignment. It speaks of a community or people who have reached a crossroads, not because they are lost, but because they are ready. It is a sign that says the time of drifting is over. The time of remembering has begun. And Loso Sa calls for reclaiming ancestral order, strengthening community and communal bonds, correcting imbalances, restoring discipline and integrity, honoring the elders and the lineage keepers, and preparing for a new cycle of responsibility. It is not a sign of punishment. It is a sign of maturity. It says, you have grown, now act like it. It says, you have been given a name, a path, a tradition. Now walk with it in clarity. It says, the ancestors are ready to lift you higher, but only if you stand firm in who you are. Across the world, Voodoo and Vodou are rising, not rising in secrecy, not rising in fear, but rising in confidence, in cultural pride, in spiritual legitimacy, and in international recognition. But with visibility comes responsibility. Loso Sa tells us the world is watching, stand correctly. In 2026, this sign warns us that the global community must guard against delusion and distortion. We must protect our traditions from those who seek to commercialize them. We must uplift the voices of authentic practitioners, priests, and elders. We must build bridges between the diaspora and the motherland. And we must correct misinformation with dignity and not hostility. We must unify without erasing our differences. Loso Sa is a sign that says the house is expanding, but the foundation must be strong. This is the year where Voodoo and Vodou practitioners worldwide must recommit to education, protocol, and ancestral truth. This is the year where we must say, we are not a trend. We are not a costume. We are not a caricature. We are a living civilization. And for the diaspora, for the children of the Middle Passage, for the descendants of those who carried the spirits across the water, Loso Sa is a sign of return, not a physical return alone, but a spiritual return, a return to ancestral languages, ancestral rhythms, ancestral ethics, ancestral cosmologies, ancestral dignity. Loso Sa says the bridge between Africa and her diaspora is open. Walk it with respect. In 2026, we are delegations traveling between Benin and New Orleans. We are priests and priestesses exchanging knowledge. We see cultural agreements being signed. We see a global family recognizing itself again. And Loso Sa affirms that this reconnection is not accidental. It is destiny unfolding. So let's speak directly to New Orleans, Loso Sa, and New Orleans International Voodoo Day. To the city where the ancestors dance in the streets, where the drums never stopped beating, where the spirits found a new home and made it their own. New Orleans International Voodoo Day is not just an event. It is a portal, a ceremony, a reclamation. And Loso Sa speaks to us with clarity. New Orleans, you are stepping into your rightful place as a global center of Vodou culture, diplomacy, and education. This sign tells us strengthen your leadership, protect your traditions, build your institutions, train your next generation. Stand firm in your authenticity. Do not bend to outside pressure. Do not dilute your identity for acceptance. Loso Sa says the world will come to you, but you must be ready to receive them. For NOIVD and its adherents, this is a year of structure, discipline, and expansion. A year where ceremonies deepen, protocols strengthen, partnerships grow, cultural diplomacy flourishes, and the ancestors open doors. Loso Sa is a sign of a community stepping into its adulthood. Spirituality, Loso Sa reminds us that every blessing requires responsibility. Spiritually, every elevation requires grounding. Every expansion requires protection. And spiritually, every destiny requires discipline. It teaches that power without order becomes chaos. Order without spirit becomes emptiness. But power and order together become destiny. This is the year to cleanse what has been neglected, repair what has been broken, strengthen what has been weakened, honor what has been forgotten, protect what has been entrusted to us. Loso Sa is a sign of ancestral accountability. The spirits are saying, we have given you the tools, we have given you the knowledge, we have given you the path. Now walk it with integrity. And a brief message for the priests, priestess, and practitioners of the practice, to the Hogans, Mambos, Bokanan, Bokanansi, Honsi, servitors, root workers, conjure doctors, all who carry the mysteries. Loso Sa asks you to teach with clarity, to lead with humility, to serve with discipline, to protect with courage, to speak with truth, to walk with destiny. This is not the year for ego. This is not the year for division. This is not the year for confusion. This is the year for alignment. This is the year for unity. This is the year for ancestral order. And in my closing, my vision of Loso Sa as we move through 2026. Lososa stands before us like a guardian at the crossroads. And it says, choose the path of responsibility. Choose the path of truth. Choose the path of ancestral alignment. If we follow this sign, the voodoo, vodun, and vodou would rise stronger together, more unified, more respected, and more connected than ever before. If we honor this sign, New Orleans International Voodoo Day will continue to grow. And as a beacon of cultural diplomacy, a sanctuary of ancestral wisdom, and a global gathering place for the spirits and their children, if we embody this sign and will step into a future where our traditions are not merely surviving, they are thriving, leading, and illuminating the world. May Lososa guide our steps. May the ancestors bless our path. May the spirits strengthen our hands. And may 2026 be the year we rise in unity, clarity, and destiny. AYIBOBO, Bilolo, Ashe, Asheo, and Ashe. All is truly and indeed a blessing. And I ask now that my beloved co-host, the Queen Mother, Sister Toni Martinez, please unmute and come on in. Brother Tyson Horn, my second priest, godson and initiate of my house, as well as La Source Ancien, and Elder Reggie Green, Green Soap, leader and founder of Shrine of the White Cloth and co-administrator of NOIVD. We certainly do appreciate your continued support and participation, and we ask you to now come on in. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing?
Good evening.
Good night. Good evening.
Divine Prince, you talked about guarding against, the traditions being watered down and getting them twisted and distorted. But how do we protect the tradition without gatekeeping it, keeping it just to ourselves and shutting out people? Because some of them really want to learn.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And certainly I support, as a son of a retired educator, I support education. Education is a lifelong journey, a lifelong vocation. And we are all, I'm sure Elder Reggie will agree with me, Brother Tyson has expressed it more than once, that we're learning something new every day. We never put the books down. We never stop studying. We never stop listening and following the advice and the experiences of others and elders and those who lead us and who we often follow and work in concert with in these traditions. Our NOIVD alone is a orchestrated concert of endeavors of West African origin, of West Indian and Haitian origin, of American and Louisiana and New Orleans origin. And we orchestrate a ceremony together in authenticity, in truth, in honor, without necessarily being dogmatic or necessarily gatekeeping. Surely we're not in the space to give, specific detail and reference about every turn and every nuance and every offering that we perform during a public ceremony. But we provide those opportunities weekly at La Source. Certainly, I provide that opportunity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Elder Reggie offers that opportunity certainly every weekend at Shrine of the White Cloth for people to learn and gain access to this knowledge and this information at a deeper level, at a sacred level, at an authentic level, without dishonoring, disgracing any aspect of the traditions. Now, having said that, I believe, and others may not necessarily agree with me, but I agree that our greatest competition is this two-edged sword that we know as the World Wide Web, which gives a certain degree of entitlement to people to post and say and express whatever they will, no matter how real, how authentic, how well studied and well learned, or how little researched and little understood. And so it's up to us to show a degree of wisdom and discernment, just navigating that space. But I often implore those who are seeking knowledge about these traditions to go to the traditions, to go to the practitioners, the practitioners and the centers of practice where these traditions are being practiced globally and internationally, wherever and what country and what region they may be found. And certainly the World Wide Web allows virtual reality or virtual sense of connectedness and accessibility to us all. And again, keyword is virtually 24 hours a day by direct message or by way of our profiles or our websites or what we might post to intersect with others and build bridges for communication. But it must be done with a degree of discretion, with our three of our eyes open, and certainly with our feet firmly planted, on the ground. And before I pass the mic, because I don't want to dominate the time, it is challenging, with the degree of books and articles and blogs and people presenting themselves as authentic practitioners. And even now with platforms like TikTok, which are a great deal more international and diverse. So you have various accents and languages and dialogues of people speaking, which for those of us in the West can give an air of authenticity. You don't necessarily speak that language. You don't necessarily understand the nuances of that culture beyond your present level of awareness and understanding. And so there's still that, that discernment that must be taken in internalizing this information, utilizing this information, putting this information into practice. And I'll land, for the moment and pass the mic.
Good information on Divine Prince. One thing that stands out from Los Sosa, it seems like it's a call to action. And you can break it down even more, simpler terms, but as a call to action for the practitioners and those who walk the path, what would you say? What would you say that looks like in practice? How do we stay focused on that throughout the year? As far as where it's a lot to revere spirit on a daily, just in general. But what are some things that could step the game up? I guess maybe if I'm just asking in that way. Well, what can we do to step our game up if that's the case?
Well, I'm certainly going to allow Elder Reggie to respond as a official practitioner, and allow Sister Toni Bell to respond as someone at the grassroots level, who might, have questions about what that process might look like.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, thank you, Sister Toni, Divine Prince. Excellent point. This is a real good topic. Brother Horn, thanks for asking that question. And hello to the collective audience that's watching. I do not try to come off as controversial. That's not my heart. That's not my intention. But as Loso Sa says, sometimes we have to speak truth to power. And one of the things I'm seeing in the diaspora that is hurting us, it's hoodoo. I love hoodoo, but it is individualism. It is what my ancestors done back then without no training, no whatever. And it is hurting us because as you do research and even if you go to Haiti, you go to some of the other Caribbean islands, you get to Africa, these people, the people are working from a system. They're working out of an organization. They're being initiated. They're being godchildren where someone is teaching. Someone is showing them, someone is teaching them how to work with the spirit, how to do this, how to do that. But then when you come to the diaspora in America in particular, oh, my ancestors practice hoodoo. I just do what I want to do. And I think that is hurting the overall growth of this beautiful system that is bestowed back upon us. And as So say, hopefully those people can handle themselves and try to get more teachings.
What I see with that problem is that people don't know the difference. They have not been taught that it's two different entities totally. People, especially people here that I meet in New Orleans, they think it's the same thing, just a different word. And that's one thing I think that needs to be, I try to do it and say, oh no, it's not the same thing, because the practice of voodoo is way above my pay level. I don't even try to go there, because it is like going to a university and studying, and you have to learn and you have to graduate and you have to learn more. Whereas hoodoo, like you say, is folk. It's mostly folk, and it's what we did that we could do without the knowledge
a critical
of
element. Forgive me for interrupting, Sister Toni. I think a critical element, though, that, and a point that Elder Reggie is making, is that, whether it's Vodou, Vodun, Voodoo, or Hoodoo, Obia, Mayal, they all come with training, experience, exposure to the elders, exposure to those who are doing the practice. And I think it's a misunderstanding to some degree of what, particularly this present hoodoo generation thinks hoodoo would have looked like under enslavement or under the environment of sharecropping or just in the antebellum environment in general. And so we think, that we're operating somehow independent of each other from a very individualistic perspective. And individualism as a concept is very modern, very new, very 1980s and forward. There was a much deeper sense of community, even during slavery and antebellum Southern life, than what we see today. We knew that we had to depend on each other. We knew that I knew that I needed Elder Reggie for certain resources. I knew that I needed Sister Toni for certain resources, and I knew that I needed to show and prove with the resources that I could provide when they came to me to ask for it. And we often managed and stayed in our lane. I didn't try and run the kitchen. I didn't try and run the iron, the horseshoe house and the sword, the iron making house where maybe Elder Reggie and Ogu might have been operating from. I stick to what I was trained to do, what I understood. And we see that mirrored, and I would hope Elder Reggie would speak to that, in the lifestyle in West Africa. Everything is not done in every village by everybody. There are certain things that are specific to Ogu that are done in the village of Ogu. There are things that are specific to Oshun that are done in the village and community of Oshun. And those communities share and interact when it comes to those particular nuances. So when we think of hoodoo, again, many people are learning it from reading books, seeing it online, and hearing stories, whether they be legitimate or fictional, being recounted in social media. It's often, well, my grandmama and them practiced it, but nobody talked about it. Nobody passed it down. I'm just going with my spirit. And that's really not what hoodoo is.
Well, can I ask a question here then? And Elder, I know you're about to speak on it, but one of the questions that Sister Val mentioned was just gatekeeping and so forth, and not protecting against that. when trying to promote the religions and promote the practices. But do you feel, and this is maybe a too heavy of a question just for a simple one that's for this podcast, but do you feel with the advent of you speak about the internet, but the fact that the communities going forward may be more of a cyber type of community, because even neighborhoods, because there's something about New Orleans, there's a sense of community, there's a sense of neighborhood, there's a sense of which ward you from or which parish are you from that you have in Louisiana that you really don't have around a lot of the other country. And outside, you don't have that sense of walking down the street and saying good morning and good night to your neighbors and so forth. In a lot of different places, a lot of these suburbs where a lot of people who are trying to find some sense of spirituality, these suburbs, you could live in a suburb for 10, 15 years and not know a person that's 2 doors down from you. So how does the Vodou community, Hoodoo community, all the ATR practices, how do we adapt while still keeping a sense of, ritualistic reverence to the practice? How does that look going forward? Because there has to be some adaptation. My son, he grew up and most of his friends are online through the video games. Like I used to tell him, man, at some point you're gonna have to put deodorant on because people could smell you outside of this house. A lot of these kids don't even go outside to play anymore. So how do we keep that sense of community but adapt with the times?
Well, if I can add to what you're saying, is that a presence, being available. Yes, we are using this platform tonight to be present and to be available. But once the cameras go off from this show tonight, we still have home phones, we have temples, we have shrines that people physically could come out and visit. And it's no secret, we're putting it out there. It's just that people are holding on to hoodoo and act as if they don't need no more teachings. Whatever was bestowed on them by the ancestors, that's it, that's all. And that's just not how that worked. Because when you go back to the old land, you see where there's apprenticeship, like I said, to become an Eastern Star or Mason. These are secret societies, and you got to be added into these societies. You have to take classes, you have to be taught. And the way I see the ATRs are set up, it is the same thing. Yeah, when I went and got my first initiation, they done a reading, a fire reading, as we spoke of, an EFI reading at the time, and they said you have the propensity, and this is the energy you need to work with, and that's where I went. And the same thing, if you go take an ASVAB test to get in the military, depending on the aptitude that you do, this the branch of the military they're going to try to feed you to, which is going to suit your strength. And the ATRs are working the same way. It's just that we can't get stuck with the ancestors said or done. These are live systems that you always add into. They are constantly growing. They're not just stuck dead in the mud. And people have to learn some of these things because these spirits are active, these spirits are real, and they do want relationship with us. But at the same time, they want relationship, they have protocol. They're just not going to show up and do things for you just because you said your ancestors was once a spiritualist. No. There's teachings, there's class, and that's being offered, Brother Horn.
I agree.
Yes.
And let me respond real quick before we run out of time too. I think there's also a bigger issue in that, there are systems in place that are working to sort of push up this idea of separateness, individualism, my way or the highway, what I think is the only thing that matters. We could even look at, Hollywood movies like, Escape from New York, and the literary work by Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower, and all the predictions of the future. And so as you express, Brother Tyson, it's a 24/7 job, just to instill community, socialization, in our young people and the generations that are coming up, moving forward, who are being sort of forced into an isolated or a virtual sense of reality. But even in that virtual sense of reality, they're being exposed to books, lectures, recordings, documents that all support the position Elder Reggie and I have taken in terms of going to the community to build foundation, to keep, the practices and the traditions alive. And this indeed will save us, in the future. Just one last sentence. Tragedy often brings us together, makes this a strange bedfellows. We learned that the hard way during Hurricane Katrina. So, on the one hand, the world is getting smaller through virtual reality. But on the other hand, these great calamities, tragedies, wars, rumors of wars, are also forcing us to rebuild communities, both virtually and on the ground, of like-minded people, and ultimately like-minded resources, like-minded knowledge, or a desire to share like-minded knowledge. And again, we certainly thank you for your time and support and dedication to this platform. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties. Instagram, we thank you, Twitter X, for listening and participating. Our YouTube participants, we certainly appreciate you. LinkedIn, we certainly appreciate our international audience. And our Facebook listeners and participants on my page, my profile, my groups, Elder Reggie's page, profile and groups, Shrine of the White Cloth, Sister Toni Val's profile and groups. And again, we always invite you to be here with us weeknights, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, on a social media platform near you or by way of the QR code, which is displayed in the upper right corner of your screen. All is a blessing. Thank you kindly, Elder Reggie.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Our advertisement. By sponsoring this event, you're supporting tax-deductible cause and preserve heritage, uplift art and education, and foster healing within the community and beyond. VoodooDay.org. Please visit. We have a large selection and variety of Santa Muerte statuary available at the Island of Salvation, Botanica. That location is 2372 St. Claude Avenue. It's in New Orleans, Louisiana. Yes.
And remember to mention this podcast for a special.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Yeah, mention the podcast. You're right. Yeah, I see. All right. Our next advertisement is New Moon Ritual Prayer and Application Ceremony will occur on the new moon, Sunday, January the 18th, in the Zodiac of Capricorn, 7 to 10 Clewitt Street. It's a ritual spiritual warfare gathering. Please come out and support us with this event. And this is another teaching moment for the community at large, because we are doing real live ritual. We're doing some talking afterwards. Before I read the lest we forget, just in the strength of what we are talking about tonight, if I could, Divine Prince, recommend the works by Zora Neale Hurston, especially Musing Men, because she comes to New Orleans to do the research. In each place she went, she had to go through an initiation. She had to fall under some type of teaching. So those in the collective audience, read some work by Zora Neale Hurston. Lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. With that, I say, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Good night, everyone. We love you all, and we'll be back tomorrow night with more knowledge.
Asheo and Odabo.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, y'all.
Thank you.
Good night. AYIBOBO.
I Please, allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this right in my DNA, yeah, I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees, it's time you pay for your dirt and your deed. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner. Oh, do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she's straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Red. He looks me in my eye and says, "You only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside." I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down.